Deportations. They're really popular and necessary, which makes us wonder why Democrat lawmakers have made the deportation of criminal gang members like the political hill for them to die on. Senator Chris Van Hollen was so angry over alleged MS-13 gang member Kilmar Abrego Garcia being deported to El Salvador that he went there. The Margs really help kick the jet lag, in my experience. Democrat House members Bonnie Watson-Coleman and LaMonica McIver and Robert Menendez Jr. were involved in a scuffle at an ICE facility in Newark, New Jersey that resulted in the arrest of the mayor of Newark, New Jersey. Here's the footage. Real insurrection energy there. So while Democrat lawmakers were trying to stop deportations, our program traveled to El Salvador to see what was happening with those who had been deported and jailed in Cecot'S prison, the most famous prison on earth. Here's our exclusive report. March 15, 2025. President Donald Trump invokes the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to deport over 200 Tren de Aragua gang members. But he didn't deport them to their recalcitrant home country, Venezuela. Trump sent them to the infamous Cecot'S prison in El Salvador. No American media has been allowed into the specific ward of Cecot'S holding deported Tren de Aragua gang members until now. Tonight you'll learn how Cecot'S new arrivals are acclimating, and you won't want the Democratic Party's dream of re-importing them to be realized anytime soon. One America News and Time magazine joined a bipartisan delegation into Cecot'S prison. We learned the stories of monsters, killers, satanic worship, human sacrifice, invaders to our land. You'll learn of illegal aliens who had been living in the United States, committing heinous crimes despite multiple deportations, until they entered Cecot'S, where they are a threat to America and El Salvador no more. Meet Cecot'S inmate Hector Gabriel. On behalf of MS-13, he admitted to killing around 50 people. But when you take that many lives, who's counting? Despite being deported repeatedly, he returned to the United States and returned to his criminal ways.
What crime did you commit?
Homicidio.
Homicide. How many?
Más de 50.
What's your name?
Héctor Javier Hernández Galo.
And where are you from?
Yo, de Usulután, El Salvador.
And how'd you end up here?
¿Cómo?
How'd you end up here?
¿Cómo terminé aquí?
Sí, ¿cómo terminó acá? Sí.
Terminé aquí por mis delitos. Por homicidio.
Were you deported? ¿Fue usted deportado?
Sí.
Where was you?
Yo vine deportado de Virginia.
From Virginia. Where in Virginia?
Yo era de Falls Church, Virginia.
What's it been like for you?
Bien diferente a otros penales, un penal de máxima seguridad. Aquí solo tenemos lo básico: comida, agua, lugar donde dormir, atención médica.
What crime did you commit?
Homicidio.
Homicide. How many?
Más de 50.
How did you kill people?
Con armas.
Weapons.
Aprendimos en la calle, todo se aprende.
¿En Estados Unidos?
Es una ley en la pandilla MS-13 que para ser un miembro de la pandilla tenés que matar.
How did you get recruited into MS-13?
¿Cómo?
¿Cómo reclutaron a la pandilla MS-13?
Matando, después de matar, lo brincan a uno.
¿Qué edad tenías cuando empezaste?
13 años.
Did you start in Virginia? You were living in Virginia?
Sí.
What was it like adjusting to Cecot'S when you got here? Talk about the beginning, early
¿Cómo?
days.
¿Cómo fue ajustarse acá al Cecot'S, cuando entró al Cecot'S? Fue
Muy diferente a los otros penales donde había estado. Porque los otros penales eran diferentes, pues. Antes la pandilla tenía el control, pero Cuando vino este gobierno, la ley mano dura, todo eso no funcionó. Pero este nuevo presidente, el gobierno nuevo, no venía jugando. Recibimos la retribución de lo que hemos hecho. Por eso estamos aquí.
¿Asesinó a niños o a mujeres?
Niños no, pues.
No, children.
¿Mujeres?
Women.
Tampoco. Solo pandilleros rivales de de otras pandillas.
How do you get along with the other prisoners?
Es un poco duro, porque ahora tiene uno que convivir con el peor enemigo. Ahora tenemos que adaptarnos. Así lo toca. Recibimos la retribución, como le digo. No fuimos buenas piezas.
Have you communicated with anyone outside of Cecot'S since you got here?
No. Un penal de máxima seguridad. Muy diferente al pasado. En el pasado otros penales eran diferentes. Las pandillas tenían el control. Hoy las autoridades tienen el control de las cosas.
Bueno, tiempo.
50 killings, give or take. Violence invited to America over and over again. What matters how many times you deport Hector if open borders policies continue to invite him back in? But things are changing in El Salvador and America. To understand how Cecot'S prison came into existence in El Salvador, you must first know some history. What any man, woman, or nation goes through dictates how strong they are to handle what's next. They say that tough times make strong men. Tough times for El Salvador have forged a strong nation, intolerant not just of gang violence, but even gang membership. You can be a gang member in the United States. Not so for the land named for the Savior. As I was touring a children's home in the country, this career diplomat explained it succinctly. El Salvador knows violence, death, and pain.
I always have thought that the velocity of history of El Salvador is faster than many other countries that surround it. We go through things really quickly, like the war. Ronald Reagan made a point that we were going to be the stopping point of the domino theory in the Americas, and we did that. Then peace comes through, and the country changes and shifts, but doesn't shift enough.
We credit the victory in the gang wars to Salvadorian President Nayib Bukele. President Bukele has a saying he repeats often: "He who spares the wolf forsakes the sheep." When President Bukele took power, the gangs were as strong, in some cases even stronger than the government. At Cecot'S prison, every new arrival has their tattoos examined, their aliases referenced, and their biometrics taken. Their affiliations are tracked, chronicled, and used for criminal trials and investigations. The warden of Cecot'S prison explained how the best screening technology in the world is used to keep everyone safe.
Es similar a la que acabamos de cruzar, pero esta es exclusiva para inspección de toda la población privada de libertad que ingresa al Cecot'S.
El Salvador was MS-13's protected ecosystem to grow and thrive. But never forget, MS-13 didn't get rich robbing El Salvador or merely committing crimes in their homeland. They were deeply embedded in America. We conducted the next several interviews with one MS-13 clique leader and several soldiers. See if you can identify any of the cities or states where you live in their descriptions of where they killed and tortured.
Quítate la mascarilla. De Virginia. ¿En qué año estuviste en Virginia?
99 hasta el 2013, la primera vez deportado.
¿Dónde estuviste detenido allá? ¿A dónde estuviste detenido?
Estuve en Maryland, en el estado de Maryland, haciendo una condena y después en la federal.
¿A qué clique pertenecías allá?
Virginia Loco, Salvatrucha.
¿Tenías algún nivel de rango dentro de la estructura? ¿Sí?
Sí.
¿Qué eras?
Corredor de clic.
Corredor de clic. ¿En qué año te deportaron?
En 2 ocasiones he sido deportado.
¿La última vez que te deportaron?
2018.
2018. Ok, gracias. ¿Alguien más?
¿De Texas?
¿Tu nombre?
Julio César Arevalo Franco.
¿Estuviste en Estados Unidos como miembro de pandilla?
Sí.
¿En qué estado? Texas.
Houston, Texas.
¿A qué clica pertenecías?
Houston, gracias.
¿Tenías algún rango dentro de la estructura?
No, la verdad no.
No. ¿Estuviste detenido?
Sí.
¿Dónde estuviste detenido?
En la Villa East, en el Valle de Texas. el condado de Houston y en California también,
¿En qué año te deportaron?
en 2012.
2012.
He sido deportado 4 veces,
4 veces. ¿Cuál fue la última vez que te deportaron?
2017,
2017. Ok. ¿Cuántos años llevas preso acá?
3 años y medio.
3 años. Ok. Bien. Dale, gracias. ¿Hay alguien más? Espera, uno. Miembro de
Pandilla 18 sureño,
18 Sureño. ¿Eres deportado también? Sí. ¿A dónde estuviste?
Boston, Massachusetts.
Boston, Massachusetts. ¿Qué eras ahí dentro de la estructura?
No, no era nada.
¿Soldado?
Soldado, no.
Ajá. ¿Estuviste detenido?
Sí, solo por estar ilegalmente en el país.
No como miembro de pandilla.
No como miembro de
Como miembro de pandilla. ¿En qué prisiones estuviste?
Estuve en South Bay, Boston,
¿A dónde más?
en Nashua,
¿Cuándo fue la última vez que te deportaron?
2019.
En el 2019 te deportaron. Ok, gracias. ¿Quién más? MS.
MS-13,
Ajá. ¿Cuál es tu taca?
cirujano de Northside Fulton.
Cirujano. Del oculto. ¿A qué organización pertenecías en Estados Unidos?
MS-13,
¿A qué clica?
Northside Fulton Loco,
¿Tenías algún nivel dentro de la estructura?
soldado,
Como soldado. ¿Cuándo fue la última vez que te deportaron?
2014.
2014. Gracias.
There's something you'll notice in these interviews with MS-13 members. By the time they've spent some time in Cecot, they are respectful, compliant, submissive. They get medical treatment, their vital signs are checked regularly. They are afforded religious teachings and even a little stretching and exercise along the way. But there is zero contact with the outside world. Court hearings are conducted virtually from a video-equipped hearing room within the walls of the prison. They never leave. They are fed, but only rice and beans. President Bukele says that MS-13 prisoners at Cecot only get meat when every Salvadorian citizen can afford meat. Notice how well-behaved the MS-13 gang members are as Congressman Andy Ogles of Tennessee calls for Cecot and El Salvador to be the model for Central America. Congressman Ogles, you're here inside the most infamous prison in the world. What's your reaction?
It's incredible, and quite frankly, when you look at the types of criminals, you know, everyone here is murdered, not just one, but dozens of individuals, and these folks have been removed from the United States of America. That makes our cities, our communities, our wives, our daughters safer, and we owe the president a thank you.
You've seen people here who were part of the MS-13 group, but also those who were deported from Tren de Aragua. How were those experiences different?
Well, you know, those that are from outside of El Salvador, you know, the folks that were housed here, it was raucous, and they were yelling at us and so forth and so on. If you're El Salvadorian, you're in here and you can hear a pin drop. That being said, we're just talking to some folks over there, and one of them was from Nashville. Like he had been deported from Nashville.
Yeah, a number of the people here indicated they've been deported multiple times. What does that say about the value of this place to safety in America?
Again, they come and go. It's a porous border until President Trump took over. And again, we owe the president of El Salvador a huge thank you, because these are the worst that society has to offer. Again, every one of these folks has killed dozens, plural, dozens of individuals.
And do you think that it's a launching pad to future security cooperation between the United States and El Salvador?
Yeah, and it's also a model for Central America. I mean, because what you've seen, because President of El Salvador has done such a wonderful job, some of these gangs have pushed out to other countries, and so now they can look to his leadership and, you know, replicate that in their own country and make Central America great again.
Everything you've seen thus far is the prison environment for Salvadorian-based MS-13 and 18th Street gang members. What no other news organization has shown you until now is the specific ward at Cecot that holds the Venezuelan-based Tren de Aragua gang members President Trump deported. See if you can notice them reacting differently. Compare that to the entrance at the MS-13 prison ward.
Este es el módulo 7, acá albergamos miembros de la MS-13, 18 sureños y 18 revolucionarios. Cada celda tiene espacio para 80 personas. Como ustedes pueden observar, ellos solo portan su uniforme, no tienen ropa de cama.
Americans are paying for the Tren de Aragua incarcerations, a bargain at $6 million. For that, El Salvador is actually treating the Venezuelan new arrivals better than their murderous countrymen. Congresswoman Ana Paulina Luna even sampled the lunch fare.
Este es el menú que se les provee a ellos diariamente. Esto es el menú.
That's a good meal.
Wow.
Try it.
Let me see what's going on here.
You gonna take a bite?
Este es el menú que ellos están recibiendo.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, wow.
This congressional delegation was bipartisan, with the usually reasonable Texas Democrat Congressman Vicente Gonzalez joining. See his reaction to the Tren de Aragua prison ward. Before we left the prison compound, I got the instant reaction from Congresswoman Luna, who led the trip. You'll see she's obviously still in shock from the horrific stories. We're here with Congresswoman Ana Paulina Luna at Cecot's. What's your impression of the experience?
You go into two separate facilities. First and foremost, I think there's been a lot of disinformation about how President Bukele is actually treating El Salvadorian nationals versus people from other countries that are here being imprisoned. But I would say that after going in there, you get a feeling inside that you can't really describe. It's very heavy. But hearing an interview of one of the inmates said that they've murdered over 50 people. And then kind of going through the fact that they're still living. I mean, you know me, Matt, I've been pushing for increase in mandatory minimums. But I mean, we're hearing people that were deported in the United States illegally that were in places like Texas, Virginia, Maryland. And, you also have young American families in those places. So the fact that these murders were on the streets, very scary.
You also saw the Tren de Aragua gang members who were deported to Cecot's. Your reaction to that visit?
Two very separate interactions. You have, obviously, the Tren de Aragua, they were being fed different, very vocal. But there's definitely a different feeling when you go into the El Salvadorian versus there. But I will say that, we're not just talking about people that car theft, petty crime. We're talking about maximum security lockup for people that have, guilty of probably sometimes dozens of homicides. So
final question. What do you think a facility like this does for the safety of Americans?
I wish more people could see it in person because I think that they would have a way different approach on what's currently happening. But what I will say is that the fact is that had President Bukele not done this, these people would still be on the streets in America. And
El Salvador is a nation that understands violence. They've faced evil, fought monsters, defeated gangs, and liberated. Now they are a peaceful and safe country for millions. There is much the United States can continue to learn from El Salvador. Until then, we should thank them for cleaning up their trash and even helping us take out some of our own. Surrender to an invasion of illegal immigrants seeking to kill Americans will not happen under President Trump. Criminal gang members must be treated as enemy combatants, not serial entrepreneurs. President Trump and President Bukele know this, because for the monsters and criminals, your life, your humanity, isn't a factor. It's just about respect, money, and power.
Do you have any friends?
Amigos. En la pandilla no existen amigos. En la pandilla existe el respeto, el dinero y el poder. Las amistades se dejan a un lado. Porque las amistades uno puede perder la vida en estos lugares.